Hey, welcome to this hot take. I apologize for the kind of rough lighting situation, but it is quite literally in the smack dab middle of the day. There is not a cloud in the sky, which is great if you're outside, but if you're trying to do a car review with an interior shot, it's not so good. And in case you're wondering, today we have the 2021 Toyota Corolla Hatchback Nightshade Edition, which isn't like nightshade like a poison or something? I'm not 100% sure that was the way to go. Now, let me restate a controversial position that I've taken before, and that's that in the sort of hierarchy of looks in the Toyota lineup, I think that the Toyota Avalon is actually the best looking Toyota car, maybe vehicle, period. And I might say that this Corolla hatchback is the second best looking overall Toyota car. Like, this is a pretty good looking hatchback as hatchbacks go. It looks appropriately aggressive without being kind of overly done like the Civic Type R or something like that. It's kind of got a clean and aggressive look to it, and I really like it overall. I think it's a good example of Toyota's sort of current car design language. To be honest with you, I think the running lights on the front end look particularly nice. I think it wears the Corolla's design language better than the Corolla sedan. But that's not the most interesting thing about this car. I actually had this car a while back, about a year and a half ago, and one of the things that immediately stood out to me, and it should stand out to you upon driving this car, is that this car has an amazing chassis for such a small, affordable car. And I know what you're thinking, like, does it have an amazing chassis for like a affordable small car, like a cheap car? I mean, this isn't a cheap car, but it's definitely on the cheaper end of the spectrum. So am I qualifying that by saying for the price, this is an amazing chassis? No, that's not what I'm saying. This is a fairly phenomenal sort of chassis tune regardless of price. Like, if you're gonna hold the sort of GTI, the Volkswagen Golf GTI, as the pinnacle, right? Like, it's at the top. This is trying to be that, like the Veloster N type of stuff, maybe without all the edge to it. This is a daily driving, comfortable chassis setup. Like, we're on the handling road right now, about to hit the rough patch, and this car has a fairly firm tune to the suspension, and it just glides right over that. Coming into the first sharp corner, I'm gonna crank the wheel over more than I need to, and the car stays reasonably flat for a small car. Not a protest from the tires. In fact, the steering feel is pretty good, and I like the wheel as well. It's kind of a nice, like, smallish, got some thick hand grips here. It just all feels way, way more than what you're paying for. And that's a rare and an appreciated feeling in today's car market. I mean, this car is just dispatching the handling road like it's a freaking Lexus. Here's the bump, nothing. Like, and it's not even a comfortable car. It's got a sporty kind of bent to it. It's really impressive, and it's criminally underrated. Criminally underrated how this car goes around corners and handles on roads like it would handle off the road. That was a stupid statement. Unlike many modern Toyotas, the brake feel is acceptable and not overly grabby, which I am greatly appreciative of. It's one of my #1 complaints about Toyotas, is that they can have overly grabby brake pedals. This one does not. Now, it's not all a bed of roses here. The things that you interact with, such as the steering wheel and pedals, are pretty fantastic. But there is one kind of Achilles heel here, sort of two, really. The 2-liter 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated, makes 168 horsepower and just over 150 pound-feet of torque, and it doesn't feel like it. This car isn't like slow in the sense of like a tortoise on an uphill climb, but it is not fast. And the other side of that coin, the second downside, is that this particular car is equipped with the CVT automatic. It simulates gear shifts. If you put it into manual mode, it actually will react pretty quickly, like surprisingly quickly, to be honest with you. But it's not really doing all that much to help the power. You can floor it, it'll go, but you're looking at over 8 seconds to 60. Now, the silver lining is that you can get this car in a manual. Last time I had this car, it was in a manual transmission. And the manual, I can report, is pretty satisfying. You even have a very basic and effective rev matching feature with that manual transmission. My only complaint about the manual is that the clutch take-up kind of sucks, which is a little bit of a bummer because it's otherwise a much more engaging transmission in a car like this. So if you're looking to get this and you have an enthusiast kind of, I don't know, proclivity, then get the manual. But you wouldn't be disappointed with the automatic, the CVT. It's just not nearly up to the level of fun that this car is capable of providing. This car is crying out for a TRD treatment or a Gazoo Racing or whatever they want to call it. Go back to TRD. TRD was way cooler. Gazoo Racing is stupid. Now, I have said many times before, and if you're new here, I'll say it again, I am 6.5 feet tall and I fit fantastically in this car. In fact, these seats are actually pretty darn good for someone my height. You've got a decent amount of sort of side bolstering going on here, again, sort of lending the impression of sportiness to this car. You could take some turns with enthusiasm and not get thrown about the cabin. I'm able to achieve a perfect driving position. So I got no complaints about interior space unless you want to get behind me, in which case you better not have 50% of your lower extremities because you can't. The rear seats are suitable for toddlers, infants, and penguins, but not really human people of average size. Now, if you were a normal sized person up front, could you sit behind yourself? Probably, but I don't know that life because no one in my family is normal sized. So for me, as an enthusiast dad, this car would be barely acceptable for my family, which is a shame because I really like this car a lot. But if you are an average height or shorter family, this car could fit one of your needs perfectly. Likewise, cargo space is somewhat limited because of this car's exterior design, but it's not bad. It's just under 20 cubic feet with the sort of spare tire. And I think if you get the spare tire removed, which I think is an option now, you can get over 20 cubic feet, like 23 cubic feet, which that's pretty good for a car of this size. So I think for cargo carrying capacity in this footprint, it's totally fine. Another thing that I will absolutely praise this car about, and it really impresses me, is the interior materials in this car are impeccable for this price. This car has a frankly unbelievable interior at this price. I'm gonna be making a video soon about a car we just bought, a low model Toyota. I don't wanna say more because I wanna make a video about it. It's gonna be Ella's car when she starts driving. So tune in for that video if you're interested in what to buy your new teen driver. But that car, which is a newish low model Toyota, does not have nearly the sort of interior ambiance or quality as this car, and this car was cheaper. So I am really impressed by the level of plastics in here. You get something like the Hyundai Venue, which I tested, and the price was about the same. This is about 23 high. And the Venue's interior quality of plastics was embarrassingly bad compared to this car. I wouldn't even consider a Venue. I wouldn't even sniff around its carcass when this car exists. This car is miles better than the Hyundai Venue, unless you want a tiny frog-like box and have no sense of dignity or self-esteem. You could have a Corolla hatchback and everybody will think that you are an enthusiast on a budget. And that truck was totally in my lane and just about ended this vlog in a very unfortunate manner. It's just so rare that you drive a small, affordable car that gives you so much in return for so little money. I mean, this car costs like $23,700. It's the Nightshade edition. It's got these nice black accents, these cool black wheels, a little bit of black trim around the spoiler on the hatch. It looks good overall. The design overall looks good. Like, the interior materials are fantastic. The options are acceptable for the price. You've got Toyota's admittedly aging infotainment system. The resolution of their infotainment system sort of sucks. You need to get up to their like 12.3-inch HD screen, which is awesome in the Highlander and stuff like that. But I digress. This is fine for the price. It's fine for the price, but it's not what it used to be. But it's got auto climate control. It's got Toyota's base level of safety options, which is very comprehensive, to be honest with you, because you've got lane keep assist and radar cruise control and all that good stuff. You've got their little info screen in the dash. The gauges are simple and easy to read. The seats are comfy. I mean, just everything about this car is just excellent. It is excellent. And it really doesn't have a direct competitor either when you think about it. Like, the Venue, no. The Honda Fit, kinda, but it's a lot uglier. Kia and Hyundai's offerings need to be updated in this segment. Nissan, yeah, that's a big no. GM and Ford, nope. They don't even hardly make cars anymore. If you want to spend under 25 grand and get a lot for your money and have some semblance of driving pleasure, Corolla hatchback. So to wrap up, as I always say, should you buy a Corolla hatchback? Well, if you are a budget-minded driving enthusiast, yes, this is a good car. It is a damn good car for the money. This one costs just under 24 grand. It has everything that you could possibly want and then some. You can get it in a manual, which I think would actually make it a little cheaper. They really need to finish repaving this road. You are totally ruining my camera shot. How long does it take to repave a road? And I would say this, if you have a son or daughter who is a budding driving enthusiast and you want them to get a car that they can actually enjoy without wrapping it around 6 trees, a telephone pole, and a crowd of people, this is an excellent option. It's got amazing gas mileage. You can get like 40 miles to gallon on the highway. You've got a satisfying manual transmission. It'll teach them to live with a finicky clutch. The chassis is amazing, and you can upgrade this thing to your heart's content. Like, this is like the perfect first car for an enthusiast. You could buy one of these used for chicken scratch with 50,000 miles on it and not think twice. Why? Because it's a Toyota. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this hot take on the Corolla hatch. This is a delightful car, and it always makes me happy when I get to report back that a particular car is both delightful and affordable, because the average new car price is now like approaching $40,000, and that's just absurd. And why? Why? Because this car is all you really need. If you like the video, please consider giving it a like, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Guy took like an hour to make a turn after nobody else was coming. It's a giant lawnmower tractor in the middle of the road. It's an unpleasant surprise.